I'm Ken.
I'm Shane. Today we're going to interpret some of the concepts of C.S. Lewis in the book Mere Christianity.
First, we are going to show how people know the law of human nature exists and is real. And then we will show some common objections concerning the law of human nature. And after that, we will dig in and explore what's the source of this law and who or what is behind the scene. In the end, we will show the ways of dealing with the knowledge of this law and the power that's behind it.
Let's begin.
Oh, this is a hot.
Oh, Ken, that's my hot dog.
How come it's yours?
Well, I am Hot Dog Hoey, and I won the 3-point contest.
But it's been here for over an hour.
Well, it's mine, and I'm hungry. I want the hot dog.
Then you should put it in a safer place. It's common property up here. Whenever there's a quarreling, people argue about some behaviors that the other disagree. This shows that there exists some standard of behavior that everyone knows.
It's like this ruler. When we measure things, we might get different answers due to our methods of measurement. However, we are always compared to the same scale of measurement, like this ruler. It's always the standard.
Without this rule or law, men will behave like animals. They will fight like animals instead of quarreling.
And this common standard of behavior for humans is called the law of human nature. Different from the laws of physics, this law is peculiar to humans, and humans can disobey this with free will.
Anyone who denies this law of human nature will fall into the pit of relativism. Relativism means that there's no universal laws for humans, and every individual is governed by his own law.
If that is true, then we should never talk about right or wrong in society.
That would be terrible.
And relativism is certainly not true. Let me ask you this. Is cheating, accepted in China?
Certainly not. Why do you ask this?
Well, because in fact, the differences in moralities in different cultures and countries is very small. Cheating is not, correct in most cultures.
Agree.
Ken, I'm starving. Do you have anything I could eat?
Try this.
What is this?
This is a law of human nature. It's the healthiest food you can get in the world.
Ugh, it sounds gross. Do you have anything else I could eat?
Sorry, I don't. But let me remind you this. Although some food tastes better, this food, the law of human nature, is the healthiest. And as a human, you ought to eat it.
Oh, I think I might like it then. I don't know. I'm kind of confused. Isn't human nature and moral law just herd instinct?
Shin, some is a moral or just herd instinct, but in reality, it is something that helps man to judge between two instincts and makes the right instinct stronger.
Still sounds like herd instinct to me.
Well, here you go. Moral morality may indeed be some certain instinct in certain scenarios, but that doesn't follow that morality itself is just instinct. That would be just like saying that a sheet of music is the same thing as a piano key.
Oh, that makes more sense. So if the law was instinct, we wouldn't know what keys to play, and our music would sound a lot like this. That explains that. But how can morality be a form of instinct when instincts aren't always moral?
Well, Shane, it's true that no instinct is moral all the time. But with that, you should not live a life centered on one instinct, because you need morality to tell when your instincts are right and wrong.
Wow, that makes perfect sense. But I'm still not sold. Couldn't moral law just be some sort of social convention? Something we could learn from our teachers?
Well, just because we learn something from a teacher doesn't make it just. Moral law is like 2 plus 2 equals 4. Whether or not we learn from a teacher is always going to be true.
So you're saying moral law is like math?
Yes, moral law falls in the same category as mathematical laws, as they are both universal truths.
Oh, alright, one last thing about this moral law.
Go for it.
Doesn't moral law change over time? Aren't different things viewed as good over time?
Not actually. Think of witchcraft. In the past, people killed tons of women over the clans that did witchcraft and were involved with the devil.
Doesn't that prove my point?
Oh, I'm not done yet. People in the time period of witchcraft killings actually believe in this idea of witchcraft. Their knowledge is limited. However, if we nowadays were to believe that witchcraft was real, then people would think that we are mad.
So you're saying our knowledge has grown over time, and is not our morality that has changed?
Exactly. It's just an increase of knowledge. It's not the change of morality. Let's go back to the nature of the law. First, we have to make a distinction between the law of nature, like those physics laws, and the law of human nature.
What's the difference?
I will show you. Look at this basketball carefully. Guess what would happen if I throw it up?
It would drop because of the law of gravitation.
Exactly. Prove yourself.
What about the law of human nature? Is it different than the law of gravitation?
Yes, of course. Because you have the free will to disobey it. The law of human nature tells you what you ought to do instead of must do. Let me give you another example. Suppose you are going to the kitchen and you see somebody walking right behind you. You have two choices. Hold the door for the guy behind you, or ignoring the presence of the man and close the door right away. The law of human nature tells you what you ought to do. In this case, is to hold the door. However, you have the choice not to follow the law and close the door instead.
Oh, I see. The law of human nature is something beyond the fact of your behavior. But is it true that the behavior you think ought to do is simply the behavior that is convenient to you?
That is not true. Imagine you are taking a math test and you are struggling because you don't know the answer. As time passes, you start to panic. On the other hand, your neighbor has already finished it, and he puts his answer on a spot where you could easily
5 more
see.
minutes, guys.
Isn't cheating in this case convenient to you? But do you think it's right? No, certainly not. So you give up the thought of cheating and focus on your own work.
I guess we just have to understand that we ought to follow the law of human nature.
Yes, and because it's real.
And it is something beyond the fact of your own behavior.
It's another kind of reality.
Ken, you've taught me a lot. Do you know anything about the universe?
I don't know everything about the universe, but here's a start for you.
Alright, great.
First, there are two main ways of looking at the universe: the materialist view and the religious view.
So there are only two ways of looking at the universe?
No, two main ways. First being the materialistic view, which says that everything just happened to exist, and while nobody knows how.
What about the religious view?
The religious view says that the universe was created by a conscious being, which has a plan for what the universe should be.
The religious view makes sense, but how do people think that the materialistic view is true?
Well, now people think of materialistic view as scientific, but in reality, the reason of why the world exists is not a science at all.
Oh, I see. But can't science explain everything?
No, science actually fails to study and understand humanity. For example, science should never explain why humans obey moral laws. It could only get the information from the external phenomenon.
Oh, I guess science isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Don't get me wrong, science is still very useful for us to learn about the world around us, but it can't explain everything. Another example is how human justifies the presence of metaphysical power.
How could that be explained?
It could be explained through the laws of human nature, but not science.
Oh, okay. Still, I feel like this all might be a big leap of faith.
You may feel that way I'm basically just saying here must be something that directs the universe and reveals itself through our moral law.
Well, if you put it that way, it's simpler than I thought. What if you were in between these two views? Not sure.
Well, there's one more view that people believe.
Oh, what is it?
The life force view. It basically says that humans evolved from early life on Earth due to the power of life force.
Does this life force think?
Well, if people believe that the life force thinks, then it's really just the religious views. While if people think the life force doesn't think, then it's really just the materialistic views.
So, does this life force view make any sense at all?
Not really. The question is the life force mind really just undermines the statement. After we know the law of human nature is will, let's explore the origin of the law.
Yeah, sure. But I think we're going back to the origin. We're fooled by Lewis almost.
Well, you sometimes have to turn around in order to go forward. Progress doesn't mean just to go forward, but go into the right direction. Direction is the key to progress. I would rather take time to choose the right direction than just rashly going forward. That's why we're digging deep into the basis of Christianity before we're talking about the Christian God. 3, 2, 1, go! Shane, you are running the wrong way.
Oh, I see. The law of human nature and all the other laws are executed in this universe. But who is the maker of this universe?
There are 2 pieces of information that we can know about this power. One is the universe he created. The other one is our own mind. And we know our mind much better than the world around us because we have access to inside information.
Do you know what I'm thinking about right now?
I would never know.
Oh, I'm thinking about basketball.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And from this inside information, I think this power behind the universe really prefers the right conduct. He seems to be very strict and merciless when I do something that is against the law of human nature.
Right. A law should not be sympathetic. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
And it is important for us to treat God or the supreme power seriously. Man is betraying his laws every day, yet his laws are always showing us the right way to behave.
I really agree. I like how Lewis phrases goodness either the grave safety or the grave danger.
Wow, I feel like we're starting to establish the firm basis of Christianity.
Yeah, I agree. Now we confirm that human has acknowledged the law of human nature, which is unique to human, given by a power behind the universe. We also find how men have the choices to disobey the law, and people break that law every day, making them feel bad all the time.
And I think that's why Christianity is there. Only after people realize that they are wretched, they seek help. And Christianity is one way to cure man's bad feeling about themselves.
Yeah, so in book 2, Lewis focused on the unique characteristic of Christianity. By comparing Christianity to other beliefs, he explains how Jesus is the perfect penitence by being both God and man at the same time.
And on top of the characteristics of Christian belief, in book 3 and 4, Lewis shows us how to enforce Christianity in our lives. He explains that morality that we ought to follow, which builds upon the law of human nature in book 1. He then introduces us to both cardinal and theological virtues.
And he also introduced the Greek sin pride. After showing us how Christianity could save us, Lewis promises us that in the end we will transform into the new man, a being that is closer to God. Therefore, book 1 lays the firm foundation that later books will build on.
I think one important point is that the process of Christianity is painful. Facing one's wretchedness would lead man to dismay. However, if man continuously looks for the cure, his dismay will eventually turn into comfort.
And that's why hope is important. We have to continually looking forward to the eternal world.
That is also why pride is the worst sin. If people cannot see that they have disobeyed the law of human nature because of their pride, they will be farther and farther from God. They won't ever seek help from Christianity or God at all.
That's the reason why we have to understand the law of human nature is real and everyone fails to follow it.
Thus, we all need Christianity.
Indeed.